You know what? We should have seen this coming when they released the Elantra N and didn't put the same turbo on the Veloster N. Thanks for coming back to the channel, guys. As always, like and subscribe if you haven't done so yet, and click that notification bell. Today, I want to talk to you about the Veloster, and more specifically, the Veloster N. So, about 10 years ago, Hyundai released their first generation Hyundai Veloster. It was an NA model with very, very quirky design. It had two doors on the passenger side, one door on the driver's side, and it was a really, really quirky looking hatchback. And to my surprise, it sold very, very well for Hyundai, and it was a very consistent seller. So they even brought a second generation of the Veloster. I mean, if you think about it, the first naturally aspirated Veloster was very, very weak. It was like, I believe it was like 130 horsepower. Barely could get out of its own way. But a year later, they brought on a 2013 Veloster Turbo, which was over 200 horsepower. People fell in love with it. And then again, like I said, they came out with a second generation of things. And the second generation not only looked better, but performed better as well. And even their NA models got a little bit of an upgrade to a 2.0 NA from a 1.6 NA, giving it a little bit more grunt to it to get around town in. But with the second generation, even a better model came about. The Hyundai Veloster N. N as in Nancy. Not to be confused with the BMW M division, which M stands for motorsport in that sense. Um, the Hyundai N division was actually led by the same person that created the BMW's M division. So, I mean, take what you will from that. But this was very good news for Hyundai when they hired this guy on. This guy brought all his knowledge of performance vehicles to Hyundai. And one of his first projects that he released was the Veloster N. And for the European market was the i30N. I30 basically is Elantra hatchback here in the United States. Unfortunately, in the US, Elantra hatchbacks weren't selling that well. So they brought the Veloster N here instead of the Elantra or i30N, which I personally would have preferred the i30N. I think if the i30N came here, I would have definitely bought it. Um, with that, yeah, with that little side note, the car performed very well. It set some records at the Nürburgring. It's a lot of magazines and car media was comparing it to like the Civic Type R, the Volkswagen GTI, and it held its own. It wasn't the best car out there, but for the price and for the market segment it was in, it was one of the better cars to drive. Unfortunately, we just got word that Hyundai is going to discontinue the whole Veloster line. I guess we should have seen this coming, like I said in the beginning part of this video, because when Elantra N came out, it came with a bigger turbo, put down more power, and they didn't update the same turbo into the Veloster N. Well, I've seen guys that are taking Elantra N's OEM turbo, putting it onto their Veloster N, and some of them are putting down nearly 400 horsepower with it. It's ridiculous how much better this new turbo is. And Hyundai decided, hey, it's only going to go into the Elantra N. We won't update the Veloster N with it. So, yeah, there was definitely hints there. We just didn't see it coming, right? So now with the Veloster and the Veloster N all getting discontinued, it looks like in the U.S. market we're only going to have to rely on the Elantra N. Um, I am still crossing my fingers that the next generation of i30N makes it to the United States, because I mean the first generation of i30N was a great looking car. It was very practical, being a hatchback. And with how the current economy is with the gas prices, like, it's more smarter to drive a more practical hatchback, smaller car for the gas mileage, and than to buy an SUV. You know, because the hatchback cars can still fit quite a bit of luggage and things like that when needed. But when you're not using it, you can still get that 30 miles to the gallon or so. So I hope Hyundai, brings us as in United States, um, the newer i30N that will most likely have the Elantra N engine and engine and turbo combination in it. So let's see how that goes. So yeah, it's always kind of sad to hear news that a certain performance model is going to be discontinued. I mean, honestly, I don't care if the base Veloster is getting discontinued, but the fact that the N is getting discontinued is it's a sad day for the whole performance market in general. Even if you're not interested in the car, just one less performance car on the road. I hope Hyundai doesn't give up on the whole N division in the future, because right now then we're only going to be left with two cars. We've got the Elantra N and the Kona N, and let's just hope they come up with more and better cars in the future as well, that's going to bring us more fun with affordability. All right, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't done so yet, and I will see you on the next one.